Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. With a story that I had been following for a while, finally we get more details about the time capsule from the Robert E. Lee statue pedestal, and we do have coins, as many had thought there would be, because there's a list that could be checked off, and it has been confirmed. So let's explore! In this article from Coin World, we're going to be referencing this article as well as one from the Richmond Times-Dispatch about this historic moment. When the statue was taken down, they had dismantled the pedestal. We'll get into more details on how that happened, and we're not necessarily going to get into the politics of this because most of you know my feeling. I will interject a bit of commentary to that as we go through the story a little bit, but by and large, this is mainly about the coins. But I do think the nuance of history should be understood in this case. The Robert E. Lee Monument in Richmond, Virginia, that supported a bronze statue of the Confederate general on horseback, contained not one but two separate cornerstone boxes. Earlier this year, Governor Ralph Northam ordered the statue's removal for storage in a safe location. Afterward, more recently, while the stone pedestal and base were being dismantled, the two cornerstone boxes were revealed, an unofficial one first with puzzling content, and then the official one with the expected content as recorded at the time of placement. The state land on which the Lee Monument stood is to be transferred to the city of Richmond. The monument, dedicated in 1890, was long considered by many to be a symbol of racial injustice in the former capital of the Confederate State of America. However, I will say this, that according to the conditions of that state land, it was one of the, essentially the conditions of it is that statue remain. That was one of the conditions that it be dedicated to state land. And so therefore there was a court case where they lost that case and the statue did come down. But essentially they broke the word of what the original intent was by the condition. Now this last sentence here, that this statue of Robert E. Lee being a symbol of racial injustice, well, for those who understand the life of Robert E. Lee, know that that couldn't be more further from the truth. He was about as close to an abolitionist as one could get. Yes, his family had slaves, but he was a Union Army general. He decided only to move to the Confederate side because he knew there was going to be an attack on his homeland, his country, which was Virginia. Hence why the Lee Army was referred to the Army of Northern Virginia. It's really more about that and the states' rights than it was about fighting over slavery, at least for him. Although I think that him and also Stonewall Jackson very much, had held deep Christian beliefs and knew pretty much deep in their hearts that slavery was wrong. But nonetheless, that is sort of a brief commentary on that, but it's just interesting how history tends to simplify the complexities, or at least history books, or history as it's stated nowadays, especially in an era of ultra cancel culture and wokeism. The nuance of history simply cannot be discussed without being deemed a racist in this case, which is, I reject that notion completely. Moving on, the cornerstone box was first discovered December the 17th in the monument's pedestal below the Lee statue, and it was opened several days later by state historical conservators. A lead box, it held an 1875 almanacs, several books, and a single silver British coin. Its location and contents indicated that it was not the official one. Of course, that's all the description they give of that silver coin. And you'll see that even further down, the descriptions of what we see in the official box is kind of vague to some degree as well. During the dismantling of the monument, Virginia state officials had expected to recover a copper box containing an extensive list of memorabilia, including a large number of coins. The box was located and removed from the cornerstone December 27th, with state officials opening the capsule on December 28th. The key among the list of items anticipated to be found was a picture of slain President Abraham Lincoln lying in his coffin. The picture was contributed by a Miss Patty Leak. However, what was found was a printed engraved image from an 1865 issue of Harper's Weekly, so not a new image. The cornerstone box was placed on October 26, 1887, according to an October 27th edition of the Washington Evening Star. Julie Langan, director of the Virginia Department of Historic Resources and the state's Historic Preservation Officer, told Coin World the morning of December 28th she was interested in seeing how close the contents to be removed from the copper box would match the list of items reported to have been placed inside. We'll see video of this soon here. Stay tuned. So items removed were documented and were being carefully conserved to preserve their integrity. According to the 1887 Washington Evening Star, the cornerstone is about 4 feet across and 2 feet deep, and the cap that covers it about 1.5 feet deep. It will, when put in place, be about 2 feet above ground. The copper box, when located, was at ground level, sitting in water and saturated. Numismatic researcher Robert G. Burdett provided Coin World with a list of items purported to be in the time capsule and who contributed the items. Records from the Library of Virginia suggested that 37 Richmond residents, organizations, and businesses contribute about 60 objects to the copper capsule, and many of the pieces relate to the Confederacy. The numismatic items expected include some Virginia Confederate buttons, and these are the names that's tied to them, 12 copper coins, and I'll show you an example of what that looks like here momentarily, Confederate Treasury notes, and a copy of the Adjutant General of the Confederate States photographed copy of Confederate cent, and 100,000 Confederate bond registered, and then a copy of the seal of the we got that dollar Confederate note, English penny of 1812, W. Gordon McCabe's address at the reunion of the Pilgrims Battalion, picture of memorial window of Pilgrims Battle at Soldiers' Home, a gray and blue badge. So essentially, that is one example of people coming together, since this is a kind of reunion of the battle, and also the image of Lincoln, too. An assortment of United States silver and copper coins. We don't have an exact what that is and what those coins are, from William B. Isaacs, but Carlton McCarthy had one United States silver dollar from 1886. And then we have assortment of United States fractional coins, which we really don't know what they are. No gold in any of this. I think that would have been noted if it were. And then reprints of the Lodge of Virginia from 1877 to 1882, containing steel engravings of the Grand Masters during the period, also engravings of Dr. John Dove and Honorable R.E. Whitners. And I'm assuming that is our Masonic Lodge, the Grand Masonic Lodge. There you go. And here we see video of some of the removal of the contents. Let's take a look. This is from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. It's cutting away the outer copper box, removing the lid to reveal the contents inside.
Here we go.
There they are. Very interesting.
Okay, what do we got? Well, the rock is going to be... I think that's the rock.
A lot of that had water damage, apparently.
That's a mini ball. Got to shoot with my glove.
She's pulling out a mini ball there.
These metals have to go back really quickly. For anyone who was here last time, any of the metal coin from last time started to tarnish within a minute. It was bright silver and then it turned gray. So we're just getting these back into silica gel as quickly as possible.
Yes, silica gel to prevent it from further erosion and tarnishing. Shows how quickly silver tarnishes when it gets exposed to the elements.
Here's one of the buttons. It has, it looks like the Virginia seal actually on it.
I'm leaving that right now. I will separate it later.
Perfect.
12 copper coins.
Oh, there was a supposed to be a bundle of coins. 12 copper coins, Tulip monument from Charles Howard, maybe? Or Harwood?
Those could be large cents.
I think it's in pretty good shape considering what we normally get with these. I'm just going to hold this up real quick. I think it's in better shape than we had expected. We thought everything was
We really don't see what they look like.
soup, so we're pretty.
It's still
great.
wrapped up. They have to be very careful taking them out of the wrapper. There is that. Very interesting. So there were 632 granite stones that made up the Lee pedestal. And on this article here, it let me go down and see what other items were found. Shell discovered, there was a piece of shell that was recovered and deemed safe. That was a little probably scary at the time. And but let's see if this video gives us anything else. Oh, this is the whole. Oh no, this is just 2 minutes, and see, so I'm going to go through here and see if there's anything at all that relates to some of the discoveries there. And this is towards the end of the capsule contents being removed, showcasing some of the materials there that we can see. And in this book, I believe, one of those, there's the silver dollar right there that was attached to the inside of the book. That is the 1886 silver dollar, which is a Morgan. You can probably recognize some of the features there. Obviously, it has been greatly tarnished, weathered through the course of time, and it literally has to be sliced away from the time capsule there. Very interesting indeed. There it is. Pretty fascinating to see that silver dollar see the light of day after so many years, entombed in that copper time capsule there. Now it is completely freed, and you can see the imprint of the other side on the paper there, I guess, where it had been stuck for that long. Crazy. I think that is probably the treasure, or the prized treasure of it, but we'll take a look and see what potentially some of these pieces could have looked like as we continue here. I don't know if there's any other coins that are shown in this or not. My guess is probably not. So let's take a look at what some of these coins. So there is an example of the 1886 Morgan dollar. Many of you are familiar with the Morgan dollar. That is an uncirculated version. More than likely, the one donated was an uncirculated version too. It was just tarnished and from being in that time capsule. The 12 copper coins, well, likely they were probably large cents according to the diameter of it, but potentially they could be wrapped several times and could be Indian head cents from the period, 1885, potentially, or in the 1880s. Potentially these cents would have been. They were there. Here's an example of a Confederate $1 note of the time. Likely not the, maybe there's different styles of dollars, Confederate currency. Don't really know a whole lot about Confederate currency. I have a note too, but nonetheless, I know there's a lot of fake Confederate currency out there as well. But nonetheless, these scripts are certainly historic and of a time when our nation was divided. Then we have a British penny from 1812. I think there are several different versions of these, and looks like some of them are related to privately issued pieces, or reference private institutions at the time, or commemorate different things. So I'm not really sure exactly what it looked like because we haven't really seen it. And I think there were videos of the whole time capsule opening, but like we saw with that dollar, with that 1886 Morgan dollar, it was a little bit difficult to really make out unless you really were familiar with what an 1886 dollar looks like. Likely you would have had a hard time making some of the features out, given the proximity the cameras had. They can only zoom in so far and look at it so much. So there that is. But interesting time indeed, a fascinating story. Let me know what your thoughts are about this. Indeed, what a time. History in the making in this case, and I love things like this, and this is another example. So there you go. We finally have news of it and what was in there, at least to a degree. Post your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch this video, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.